All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to something a little bit unique. This is being done under the D&D Now banner of shows that I do. This is quite literally an example of how your first D&D game might go. I've had quite a few people in my YouTube comments and in various places on the internet talk about how, well, yeah, a lot of people will to talk about like character creation or best practices for playing or the theory crafting, the things like that. Um, no one has ever really just kind of showed you, okay, this is how a D&D game is run, and these are the things you can expect beyond like watching a well seasoned group of players play, which can be a little confusing because people that know what they're doing and are good at it make things look very easy, and can be a little bit intimidating. So today, I have four wonderful guinea pigs. I mean, players um, that have decided to allow me to be there for first or one of their first forays into the world of tabletop RPGs and D&D specifically. So really quick, I'm going to have everyone just give a brief introduction so the audience knows who you are. We will start with Ryan.
Hi, I'm Brian. I come from Cape Town, South Africa. First time playing D&D.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Sorry. Kara.
I'm Cara. I'm in the UK, just outside London, and I've kind of played one game before. It was going to be a long session, but it just turned into like one or two sessions before people got busy, and haven't played it for a couple of years. So I'm happy to get my teeth into it this time.
Casey.
Hi, I'm Casey. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I have never played before.
Right, and then Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie. I'm from Oregon, and this is my first time playing, and I'm looking forward to it.
Cool, and then as you should know by now, I am Trainer Jody. I run currently one. Thank you for phone. Yeah, we'll deal with that a little later. My name is Trainer Jody. I run one D&D campaign on this channel on the second and the fourth Wednesday nights of the month. And every other Saturday, I run a Zelda RPG on the Zelda Universe Twitch channel. That's been going for we're getting close to the 3 years now. So, yeah. So, with D&D in general, and just RPGs in general, one of the most kind of intimidating the things, and the thing that everybody focuses on is character creation. A lot of people put a huge emphasis on character creation because this is the character you're going to be playing for the whole game, the whole campaign. There's some systems that let you take your character to other adventures and other campaigns through organized play and things like that. So people put a huge emphasis on character creation, meaning if you want a guide on how to build a character in D&D, there are tons of them out there. So I'm not going to put a huge emphasis on character creation, other than walking you guys through what I believe is one of the easiest character creators currently available, and it's also free. So we're gonna real quick hop over to D&D Beyond. I will ask all my players to join me there. And what's going to happen is there's two different ways you can build a character on the D&D Beyond. I'm going to show both of them for you players. You guys can go ahead and start building your characters however you want. You can follow along with me. You can go at your own pace. Once I've gotten through both the things, which will be pretty quick for me, I will give you guys the time to finish building your characters. Feel free to ask me any questions you have, but this is a pretty user-friendly experience. Anyone that is in chat, feel free to ask any questions you have. I will address them as we go along. So first things first, right now I have the D&D Beyond page open. This is the home page. What we're going to do is go to just mouse over collections and then click on my characters. When you go there, it'll show you your character slots. I don't want it to take us as a survey right now into D&D Beyond. You have 6 free character slots, which is more characters than you will probably ever be playing simultaneously. However, if you're like me, I build characters for fun. So this is a great place to just have fun and do just try weird things. But in the right corner, you'll see a button that says create a character. If you had to take a guess, what do you think that button does?
I know, teacher.
There we go. Yes. So go ahead and click on that. It's going to give you the 3 options. For most people, you're going to choose one of the first 2. And if it's your first time, you'll see there's this little thing that says show help texts, and it says ideal for beginners. Just click that on. It's a good idea. The randomize is fun if you want something different. But if you're not used to how D&D works, avoid the randomize for right now, because it'll give you weird characters. They're fun to play, but they're not great for a brand new player. I'm going to start off with the quick build. This is by far the fastest, easiest way to build a new character. You just click on quick build, and you're just going to get 2 options. You'll choose a race. As you can see, there's tons of races to choose from. I'm a fan of elves. Specifically, I really like the Eladrin, which is kind of a high elf from the Feywild. You can pick anything you want, but I'm going to just pick Eladrin. It's going to ask you to choose a class. On any of this is stuff that you need to choose, you'll see a green plus mark on there. Just click on that. It'll give you a bunch of classes. I'm a monk. My main character in the Adventurers League is a monk. I have done videos on monks. I have had internet arguments about how awesome monks are. I'm just going to pick monk. And then for the name, I'm going to name him Punchy the Monk. I'm going to just hit create character. D&D Beyond logo shows up for a bit. And then there's 2 different things you can do. You can export the character sheet if you're going to be but playing at a physical table, this will let you print it off or give you a PDF of it. But I'm just going to click the view character sheet, and it has done everything for me. This is Punchy the monk. And see all the different actions I have in combat here. I can attack with a dart. I have a short sword. I can punch people, which is good because my name is Punchy, and it'd be really weird if a character named Punchy couldn't punch people. However, that could be your character quest and the kind of the journey your character goes on personally, that they were given this name by their parents, Punchy, that implied that they were going to be punching anything, but they just decided that punching wasn't really their style, so their journey is all about coming to terms with their name and what it means, and whether or not they really want to punch people. Or you...
I have a question.
Go for it.
I have a question. Are we trying to build like a party, a workable party right now? Or are we just making...
So the cool thing about 5th edition, you don't technically need to worry about having we call it the Holy Trinity in MMOs
Okay.
and stuff like that, where you need a tank and you need a DPS, you need a healer. A lot of classes can go fill multiple roles, and there's a lot of other things built into the game that can make up for a lack of a character that is designated your healer. So what I'd like you guys all to do is make the character that you're excited about. Pick a race and class that seems interesting to you. Don't worry about building a perfect character or the most optimized character. Just build something that you'll be excited to play.
Yeah. I'm kind of... I can't pick between a couple of classes, and I'm just wondering if there isn't a cleric, I'll take a cleric, or, you know.
So something very common in a lot of RPGs is what's called a session zero, which what that is everyone that's going to play meets up, and generally you'll create your characters there, and you can talk with other people about, hey, I wanted to this is the character I want to play. Oh, cool. I could play this character. If you're a Critical Role fan, during their sessions zero is when Liam and Laura decided that they were going to be twins in the first campaign because they should share a birthday. And they kind of argued a little bit over, who was going to get what, where Liam took the rogue, so Laura took the ranger, and then I think it was Laura said, well, my name is Vex, and then Liam's like, well, I'll be Vax, and she's like, well, but my name's short for Vexalia. He's like, great, mine's short for Vaxeldon. So if you guys want to, go ahead and start excuse me, start talking to each other and the things like that. I'm going to very quickly just hit the reconnect button because I may have lost one of my players. Oh, nope, she's back.
Okay.
FYI, if you are using Roll20's video chat feature, reconnect is your friend.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Thank you for that.
There's a button. If you go to the settings, it says reconnect. Roll20's video chat is unstable on a good day. So if you're going to be using it, I use it all the time. just accept that you're going to be cursing the name Roll20 every so often.
So what you're saying is I'm going to get some lessons in patience.
Patience. You may learn some new words. I can swear in, I think, 3 or 4 different languages. So you may even learn swears in other languages.
Well, Duolingo will teach me how to speak Klingon, so I could probably at least learn to insult people that way.
Okay. Sorry. I've never heard of some of these before, so I kind of only have the picture as reference, and some of them like look cool, but I don't necessarily want to like take something that I've never heard of before and then end up like making decisions that make no sense, but I secretly didn't know that they didn't make sense based on secret things to do with this race that I've now picked because it's
absolutely fine. Again, if you're looking for the best combination, there are certain races that tend to lend themselves better than others. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to get out of this character.
Are we all going with quick builds or standard?
Well, that was going to be the next thing I did was I'm going to do a standard character build.
Well, I think they all look like fun.
So I'm going to go create a character, and I'm going to go standard. The benefit of standard is you can choose what kind of content you want to do. I'm going to turn just everything on, just because it's fun that way.
Do it all!
And one thing I always turn off, you don't have to, is encumbrance. Because there's enough math in the D&D already. I don't need extras. So if we could go with the actual standard character builder, this is your first page. Most of this is stuff on the first page is just, kind of limiting what you can choose. But if you click on the arrow here, the nice thing about this is a standard character creator is when you click on a race, it actually gives you a description of the race itself. It shows their racial traits and gives you backgrounds on exactly what the race is and everything like that. So for the question you just asked, Casey, if you do these as a standard build, it will actually give you all the information you need to make into quote unquote intelligent choices.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Running a non-optimal character in some systems can be a huge detriment. The 5th edition, there really isn't a bad combination. There's just ones that tend to synergize a little bit better. But as you level up, those synergies will drop away for the most part, and you can play literally any character race combination you want. I know Pathfinder is a little less forgiving, where if you choose the wrong race and class, it can cause issues. If you level up the character wrong, by the time you get to like mid-level of adventuring, your character's kind of useless. So I tend to recommend against starting with excuse me, starting with a really numbers heavy RPG like D&D, the 3rd edition, or the 3.5 Pathfinder. They tend to be a bit overwhelming. 5th edition is great. There's just enough in the numbers for people that like numbers, and you can ignore a lot of numbers if the numbers aren't your thing. So again, I'm on the race selection screen right now. As you can see, there's a lot of different races. With D&D Beyond, there's actually more available if you actually purchase things through D&D Beyond, like the core books and stuff like that. In this current climate, having digital copies of books is really nice. That being said, I've been playing since before fifth edition came out. I started in the fourth edition. I have almost all the physical core books, and getting them on D&D Beyond, I would have to purchase them again, which costs money. So I don't have a lot of content unlocked on D&D Beyond. So what you're looking at here, this is all the free stuff, which is another thing I really like. If you don't have the money, you can still create really cool characters. So for this example, I am going to pick, let's go to Dragonborn. Being dragon people is kind of cool. As you can see, it gives a little description right here. It gives a few more things about like their age, their alignment, things that make them unique, like their breath weapon and stuff like that. So I'm going to choose Dragonborn. And then a lot of races will give you options for things to choose. So with the Dragonborn, I get to pick basically a flavor of dragon that I could come from. I am a huge fan of the color green. Now in D&D, most D&D campaign settings, chromatic dragons that are named after colors like white, red, green, they are bad dragons. Metallic dragons, them named after metals, bronze, gold, silver. Those are good dragons, and they currently don't have them in the 5th edition. There's the third type of dragon called gem dragons, which are named after gems like amethyst, emerald. They are neutral dragons, but they don't exist in the 5th edition. So technically, by my scale colors, I'm supposed to be a bad guy. Doesn't mean you have to be. This is yours as a story. You do whatever you want. I'm going to be a green dragonborn. It explains my breath weapon, explains my damage resistance. Green gets poisoned the damage. Always fun. Then I'm going to go to the next one. I get to pick my class. Again, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, Dragonborn get a bonus to strength and charisma. So strength-based classes are things like barbarians, fighters, and then charisma-based classes are things like sorcerers and warlocks. Paladin actually uses both strength and charisma. So if you want to make the optimized character, you can make a paladin that's a dragonborn. I'm not looking to make an optimized character, so I'm going to go with a blood hunter because they're cool. And they have that option on D&D Beyond for free. So thank you, Matt Mercer. So I'm just going to click Add Class. It's going to let me pick a few things. It'll let me choose my proficiencies. You get skill proficiencies. Now, this is something I will let you know. Generally, I won't pick my proficiencies when I pick my class. I will wait until I pick my background, because that will give you more proficiencies, and you don't want to double up. So I'm going to leave that alone. Everything else here is explained exactly what it does, like Hunter's Bane. It explains how Hunter's Bane works. But blood curses. It explains all the different blood curses that you can have. I'm not going to go into huge detail about what all that stuff is. I have multiple videos on my YouTube channel about how to play a blood hunter. I'm just going to pick two of these. I think just one right now. I like a blood curse of the fallen puppet. I think it's a cool blood curse. So I've got that picked. We're going to ignore proficiencies for a second. Go into the next. If you want to get into the numbers, for the ability scores, you can do point buy. You can roll your ability scores. In the 5th edition, the accepted method of rolling ability scores is you roll for 46 and throw out the lowest d6. If I were to do that, which I don't, because the dice in general hate me almost as much as they hate Will Wheaton. I'm just gonna. So with my first roll, just to spite me, I rolled a 15. So what you would do is you would do that 6 times, write down these 6 numbers you got, and then plug them in to your different ability scores. What I am going to do, because it's a lot easier, is I'm just going to do this is a standard array. Now, in your class section, are you going to tell me? Sorry, doing. It's not telling me here. When you're building the character, it will tell you what the important things are for the character. I know just from personal use, for blood hunters, you want either strength or dex to be one of your higher ones, because that's what you're going to be attacking with. So I'm going to put my 14 in strength, because I already have a racial bonus, and then I believe it's wisdom for the blood hunter. I could be wrong. Maybe I'll look at my blood curse and see what it says.
So are these numbers supposed to add up to a certain amount?
For your ability scores,
Yeah.
not really. If you're using either the standard array or the point buy system, you have a limited number of points you can spend, and there is a calculation you can do. It's one of the reasons I use the standard array. The standard array, you get 6 numbers that you can just put you where you want. They are for 15, for 14, to 13, 12, to 10, and 8. It requires no math. You just pick and choose. Point buy is great if you really want to customize your character, or if you're min-maxing. For a new character, just use this as standard array. It's easier. Or if you want the full D&D experience, roll your stats. Just understand that the dice are finicky. And they may give you nice stats. They may give you boink stats. And just because you don't have perfect stats does not mean you can't play. You're going to be at a handicap or anything. You can play subpar characters and still have a blast.
Yeah, no, I like the standard array, because then I can just go, oh, look, that number's done. Oh, look, that number's done. I like that. That makes sense to me. This is cool, but it's slightly overwhelming.
I'm going to be kind of a squishy blood hunter here, but it doesn't matter.
You know what? Sometimes you need a squishy blood hunter.
Wait,
I'm
sorry.
just
You're personally assigning all of these numbers, and we just determined that they don't have to add up to anything.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so depending on how you do it, if you use the roll method, you are limited to what the dice give you, which can mean that you have really high stats or really low stats. Every other method, this is standard array or the point buy, you are limited. You only have one 15 you can use. You only have one 14 you can use.
Ah, okay.
You can only use each number once. I have had players just show up to tables with rolled ability scores where they got like two 18s, a 15, a 16, and then a 12 and a 13.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah. As you, I've been running D&D games for like 6 or 7 years now, and I used to do the conventions as a scene. So I would, 5 or 6 times a summer, I would do nothing but run and play D&D for a weekend. So I personally can tell when someone has, made up their numbers. Again, in D&D, ability scores are useful. They can make certain tasks easier. They can make certain tasks harder. However, D&D isn't so much about winning as it is telling us a story. And a story about hardship and failure repeatedly can be just as entertaining as a story where the heroes always win. To the point where I tend to prefer failure as a story mechanic over constant success, because it adds drama and struggle to the story. So, what I tell my players is, if you want to cheat, you are welcome to. I will know when you are cheating. And if it doesn't hurt the other players having fun, I may or may not say anything about it. But cheating in this game isn't really worth it. If you're always succeeding, you're going to miss out on a lot of the fun aspects of rolling in that one and having to deal with the fallout from that, or for failing that persuasion check that you really needed to succeed at, or even having your character die. As much as it sucks to possibly lose a character, that can be a huge turning point for this story. So yeah, ability scores. Again, there are tons and tons of just treatises on ability scores and how to build them. Put numbers where you want them to be. It's not that big a deal. Background. There's a limited number of backgrounds available for free. Literally, almost every book you buy will give you more backgrounds. And making up your own backgrounds is super easy. You can do a custom background in this. I'm not going to. Since I'm a blood hunter, I'm going to choose the haunted one background, which is something from the Ravenloft campaign book, Curse of Strahd, which is available. The haunted one background is available for free. And I'm going to choose, let's say, investigation, and let's go, this is survival. I'm a blood hunter, I should survive. And then I choose an exotic language. Abyssal's always fun. Let's talk to demons. So now that I've picked my background, I'm going to go back to the class, and I'm going to pick my other proficiencies. Since I already have, and I've already forgotten, investigation to survival, I don't need to choose those here. And I believe, yeah, on the interface here, it'll actually show you I already have investigation and survival due to my background. So I'm gonna go.
You went back to where?
I just clicked on the class.
Class. Thank you.
One. So I'm gonna do. Let's go athletics because I'm a strong blood hunter. Let's go insight because I like to know when people are lying. And religion because I'm already a haunted one that may have helped me find God. At least one of them. And then that's done. So I'll hit in the next. Ability is already done. Description is already done. Equipment. Again, there's a couple different ways you can outfit your adventurer. For a new player, I'm just going to click on equipment, and it lets me choose the thing. So I'm going to go a martial weapon. And because I am weird, I'm going to choose a whip. Because whips are cool, and a blood hunter that can light a whip on fire is badass. I can choose a light crossbow or a hand crossbow because I have a whip, which is a one-handed weapon. I'm going to do a hand crossbow. I can do studded leather or scale mail. My dexterity in this character is kind of low, so I'm going to choose scale mail just to get a little bump. It's already choose an explorer's hat pack, and I also get a monster hunter's pack from being a haunted one. And then at the bottom it'll say adds as starting equipment. I'm just going to click on that. Gives me everything I want. The last thing I want to do is I want to equip weapons just so that it will show up on my character sheet to make things easier. So I'm going to equip my hand crossbow. And I'm going to equip my whip. You can, and I'm going to wear my scale mail. You can equip 5 or 6 weapons in D&D Beyond. All that does is it adds them to your character sheet so you know what to roll. Doesn't mean you're wielding them all at the same time. Like you can't have a great sword and then 2 scimitars at the same time unless you have extra arms. However, in D&D Beyond, this is just the easiest way to ensure you have everything you need to roll. Okay. And then I click the next, and this page should look familiar. I'm going to click on View Character Sheet. And one thing I just realized, I never named my character. It just says Trader Jody's character. So if I go to Edit Character... if I go to the description, I'm going to change that to, he is going to be called the Devo, because he likes to whip it. Go back to my character sheet, and this is it. I have my breath weapon there. It shows that I can only use it once per short rest. Got my hand crossbow, I got my whip. Everything is, there for me. One other thing I like to do, just because it makes me connect to the character a little more, if you click on the name, and you see the drop-down menu, there'll be a thing that says change portrait. If you click on that, you can choose a portrait for your character. I already mentioned I'm a green dragonborn, so I'm going to choose a green dragonborn with a hood, because that fits. This doesn't impact the game at all. It's just nice to have a little portrait of your character. And that's it. Like, I have everything I need right in front of me to start playing right now. You can actually use the interface right here. In the game, you can track your hit points through this. There are other things you can do as well, like joining a campaign, and then there's an extension for Twitch to make all your characters show up so the audience can watch. I'm not going to go into all that stuff because that takes the time and effort, and that's not what this is about. This is your first game. So I personally am done with building my characters. How are you guys doing thus far? Are you feeling comfortable? Do you have good questions?
I am done building mine.
I am done as well.
Okay.
I'm on the equipment.
I am also on equipment.
All right. So I will let you guys continue. Again, if you have questions, let me know. As far as being new or mostly new players, how are you guys feeling about D&D Beyond the interface? But first things first, I'll start with Ryan. Did you do a quick build or did you do a standard?
I did both.
Okay.
I found it it was really easy, surprisingly. Very simple to use. Like the interface is very, very user friendly. And then it's just like trial and error, finding out which ones work best, which character you want to be, and just reading up like what they're good at, what they're not good at, things like that.
Go ahead.
And then like just making a story for your character.
Part of, if you go back to editing the character, if you go to the description tab, one of the areas that you're not required to fill out is called suggested characteristics. What that is there are 4 kind of classes of things that can help you kind of define your character, and each background has examples of the things you can use that would kind of fit with your background. You don't have to use these, but if you're needing some kind of role-playing help, these are perfect. You can pick ones that you like, or you can roll a die and just let fate choose for you. There's actually a button called random that will let you randomize everything. I'm going to actually random every section for my blood hunter to kind of give you an idea. The 4 sections are personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. Personality traits are just the things that kind of define your personality, just kind of how you act in certain situations. So things like, I don't run from evil, evil runs from me. Super badass. Or I live for the thrill of the hunt. Very much a blood hunter kind of thing. Ideals are more kind of things that motivate you to do good. So things like, I'll stop the spirits that haunt me or die trying. I kill monsters to make the world a safer place and to exercise my own demons. These will just give you ideas for the why. Personality traits are kind of the what of your character. Ideals are the why. Bonds are more along like that, but those are generally tend to be a little bit more more for forced, I guess. Bond is kind of why I must. These are things that limit your character, which is good. Things like, I would sacrifice my life and soul to protect the innocent. Or a terrible guilt consumes me. I hope I can find redemption through my actions. These are motivating factors that will bind your character to certain to types of actions or to certain the things that you want to do. Very useful for role playing, because when you're given us a situation where, well, mechanically this is the best thing to do, but it doesn't really fit with my character, a lot of times you're going to be dealing with your bond. The last section is flaws. These are my favorite. The best part of a character is the flaws, the things that they do wrong. That's what makes them the three-dimensional characters. things like I assume the worst in people, or I talk to spirits no one else can see. The things like that, the things that are going to limit your character's ability and actually help you to make the quote unquote wrong decision. Now, I will say this is especially for the haunted one. There are some very sensitive subjects in here that I would highly recommend you to talk with other players in the group if you're going to choose them. Things like I have an addiction. I am a huge mental health advocate. I have a litany of mental health problems myself, to the point where the government considers me permanently and totally disabled due to my mental health issues. Which is impressive because the government doesn't like to admit that mental health is the thing. As far as it goes, as far as the disability is concerned. So it's heavily weighted against people with mental health issues. And they still said, no, you're fucked up. So with things like addiction is a real thing. It is a life-changing thing. It is something that is not okay to take lightly. So if you're going to choose, part of your background is doing something like I have an addiction. I have an entire video where I talk about maybe find different ways to make your character interesting instead of just giving them a mental health problem, because it is a little bit insulting to people that struggle with mental health problems to just add it to a character to make them more fun, because they're not fun. Yeah, communication with your group and your DM is essential. If you want part of your character arc to be dealing with an addiction that your character has, or something like that, it can be a very powerful story, but it can be a very, very intense story that can make a lot of people feel uncomfortable. So talk. It's always good to talk. So since I did that randomly, I don't know what my things are, so I'm actually going to go back to my character sheet. And if you go to the description tag on your character sheet, it'll tell you. My personality trait is I like to read and memorize poetry. It keeps me calm and brings me fleeting moments of happiness. Good advice if you struggle with anxiety like I do. Poetry is wonderful. I personally, right now, am learning Largo al Factotum, which is an aria from the Marriage of Figaro, one of the more famous arias in opera. And you guys have probably all heard it because it goes Figaro, 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 Figaro. That's this is a song, and that's what most people know of it. But it's a baritone aria. It's one of the most difficult baritone arias in opera. And then I'm also learning some Shakespeare because if you haven't noticed, I have a stutter. It's tied to my anxiety. I've only had it for a few years, and it drives me nuts because I used to be an actor, and now I can't get full sentences out. But when I read or recite Shakespeare, or when I sing, I don't stutter. Yeah. I've talked a lot. How are we doing, everyone, as far as characters? Are we all set?
I have my character sheet. I have no freaking clue how to read it, but it looks nifty.
That's absolutely fine. We will talk about reading it while we play.
Yes.
For someone running a new player table, there is a an instinct you need to simply ignore, where you try and explain everything to them at the beginning of the game. That is a waste of your time. It is a waste of their time, and it will turn people off to D&D. The best way to learn D&D is to play D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not to say you shouldn't, like I've been doing here, answer questions, help guide them in their character creation process to a point, especially if you don't have D&D Beyond to do this. It's just a good idea to go, okay, well, this is what your strength is, or, you know, these are the things you'll be doing. Anything beyond that, wait until they experience it in game. It will reinforce the lessons that they learn by doing it, and it helps to go into trainer mode, because that's what I did before I lost the ability to work. There are the three main ways people learn. In general, nobody learns only in one way, though there are preferred methods for everyone. And there's some people that can learn anyway. But the three ways are auditory, which is by hearing the things, visual, which is by seeing things, and kinesthetic, which is by doing things. Into training, in general, you will want to use as many different methods of teaching as possible, and using them simultaneously is generally going to give you the best results. So, talking about character creation while they have a character sheet in front of them, and they're actively building their characters, means that no matter what way someone learns, they're going to have something that appeals to their specific learning style. And the same is true as you play the game. They're going to be hearing you describe what's happening. They're going to have a character sheet in front of them. And if you're at the same table, to help them, you can actually make notes on their character sheets, or have them make notes on there. In Roll20, we have this chat that everyone can see if you need the visual aspects of it. And then the kinesthetic aspect is actually having them roll the dice, add modifiers, things like that. So, are we all good? Any questions about building your character?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm good.
All right, good. So what I'm going to have everyone do really quickly. Let's start on the other side here. Jackie, why don't you describe your character? Go ahead and give us name, race, class, and background.
Okay, let's see if I can make sure I find all this. Okay, name, I think it's pronounced Erhice, Erhice. I did a random one because
it is
I suck at names.
Pronounced however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Very good, quick sidebar. I have a friend. Her name is Kiri Callaghan. She's amazing. She's an author. She's a singer. She does all these cool stuff. But her name, Callaghan, is a good Irish name. Traditionally, it's spelt Callaghan, but it's traditionally pronounced Callahan. She plays in one of my games. We had someone in the comments say, "Oh, but by the way, that name is pronounced Callahan," and Kiri commented back, "No, it's my name, and we pronounce it Callaghan." Well, traditionally it's pronounced, but it's my name.
Yeah.
And we pronounce it Callaghan. So however you want to pronounce your name is the right way.
Sweet. Okay, we're going with Erhice because I like it. Erhice is a variant Azamar,
Cool.
and is a bard. And I have no purpose for that, just because I was literally clicking what sounded really cool.
Bards are for fun.
Yes, and literally I'm going like, okay, we're going to start with this, and then you wanted to know
Background.
this background. Okay, background. There we are. Okay, so it says, oh geez, I gotta tip this so I can actually read it. Sage, researcher. When Eris attempts to learn or recall a piece of lore, if she doesn't know that information, she often knows where and from whom she can attain it, which sounds as nifty and vaguely threatening.
Yeah.
Usually this information comes from a library, which actually works since I'm library guru, scriptorium, university, or a sage or other learned person or creature. My DM might rule that the knowledge we seek is secreted away in an almost inaccessible place, or that it is simply cannot be found. Unearthing the deepest secrets of the multiverse can require an adventure or even a whole campaign.
So, what Jackie was describing there is part of your background is you will get some skill proficiencies, and you will get what's called a background feature. Her ability to know where the things are and look them up is a background feature. Different people get different uses out of their features. Some people you use them a lot. Some people don't use them at all. It's entirely up to you. You can ignore that, or you can make it a central point of your character. Again, D&D is about what story do you want to tell. Just to keep things going, because I spent a little more time on character creation than I wanted to. Let's ignore background features right now and just give backgrounds. Casey, we will have you go next.
Okay. I just picked a name. I put 7 as my name.
Good name.
And 7 is a wood elf fighter who has a background as a criminal / spy.
Cool.
Fun. I heard that's 7, 8, and then a 9. So,
Okay. That was me. I did that.
so yeah, that's
So
exactly
don't
what
let
you
7
want.
get hungry. Got it. Okay.
Sorry, Jackie, can you just repeat what class you are again? I didn't quite get that.
Bard.
Bard. Okay, got it.
Kara.
So my character is Raven. She is a female wood elf druid, and I also got the sage researcher background as well. So maybe me and Jackie's character are on the same mission or whatever. I don't know.
I'm really liking this idea of we have a spy or whatever kind of what flavor of criminal. To kind of define your character, Casey, let's pick a flavor of criminal. What kind of crime were you into? Because all these backgrounds are what did you do before you decided to go off adventuring?
Cannibal? Oh.
Well, I was sort of looking at the different traits, and I got a little bit confused because I was sort of intending to be sort of more like spy-ish, but then there were lots of things that had to do with being a criminal, so I don't really know.
Ignore the traits. They're just suggestions. Let's say you are a spy. You don't have to use any of them. You can create all your own, or have none of those, and just go with what feels good. Those personality traits are designed to be an aid to role playing. If they're not helping you, don't use them.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
So the question was, what flavor criminal are you? And you are a spy, which I love because we have a pair of indoor girls getting mixed up with a spy to go out adventuring. This makes a great party dynamic. Because you'll have one person that's like, oh yeah, when I was in this country, I had to live on worms and berries for a month, as this other country's military was trying to kill me, and the other two were like, "Oh, I know how to figure out which berries are safe to eat from this book I read. Oh, I remember reading how to make a fire." Like I love that dynamic.
So basically, Casey, you're going to help Kara and me nerd out. Thank you. We love you for that.
And then Ryan, what did you choose?
Okay, so my character is Eldon. I'm a tiefling ranger, and my background is like, I thought the best one for like a tiefling would be like the haunted one. So like he's haunted by his past. Something happened to him, and he's neutrally good. He's not like an evil tiefling. He's neutrally good.
What was the class again?
Tiefling.
That's the race. What's the class?
Ranger.
Ranger. Thank you. Really quick. Good tip for new players: take notes. If your the DM gives you the name of an NPC, write that down. Feel free to write a little description if you want. It may come back later in the campaign or the adventure. It may not, but good characters to take notes. I, on the other hand, get really wrapped up in the story and forget to take notes. So really quickly, Kara, what's your character's name again?
Her name is Raven, like the bird.
Cool. Casey, your character name?
7, like the number.
And then Jackie?
Eris.
All right. Now, this is a tip for DMs. While playing the game, I will generally refer to the players by their character names instead of their actual names. And the reason behind this is it just kind of facilitates a little bit more role-playing, and it helps people feel a little more connected with their character.
But if we stare confused, you'll say, "Hey, Jackie, wake up,
Yep.
you're Eris." Okay,
That's
thank you.
absolutely fine. At a real table, I can actually just look at the person, which is a really important thing to do as a DM. When you are talking to your players, if you're always just reading off of your notes, they're not going to feel connected to you. They're not going to feel connected to the campaign. Look your players in the eyes. Interact with them, things like that. Online, this is a little bit more difficult. The best thing I can tell you to do is, and this is actually really hard, a lot of actors actually have to have training to learn how to do this, so don't feel bad if it's difficult for you. Learn how to interact directly with your camera, because your players are going to make it, it's going to look like you're looking directly at your players. It just takes practice. It will feel weird at first. You may find your view wandering, or looking at your screen, or looking at yourself on this screen. If you are having a lot of trouble, this is something that actors do, and on the one professional set I was ever on, what they would do is they would actually have someone stand literally right next to the camera and put their face there, so the actor could emote to an actual human face instead of a black void of nothingness. If you're having issues interacting with the camera, take a picture of a face. Doesn't matter whose face. It could be your face. It could be Hugh Jackman's face. I personally recommend, if you can interact with Hugh Jackman, interact with Hugh Jackman. He's a brilliant actor. But just put it next to the camera or right behind the camera. And as long as it's very close to the actual lens, people won't be able to realize that right now I'm looking just above my camera. It still looks like I'm kind of interacting with the camera itself, and it does make it easier. But it's just a practice, the thing. So you guys all have your characters. Hopefully, you have all taken at least some notes as far as your the other characters' names.
I missed Ryan's name.
Oh,
Hmm.
Eldon.
Eldon.
Eldon. I'll write it in the chat. Eldon.
All right. So
Thanks.
now we are going to actually start playing. Wow! It only took us an hour.
If I just have a quick pee break before we start
That's
that.
absolutely fine. Anyone that does need to get up to stretch, it's not a bad idea after an hour to two of sitting stationary to stretch your legs a little bit. If you're running longer campaigns, like I've run 8-hour campaigns, add a break into the campaign. Even if you're just doing like a standard session is generally between about the 3 to 4 hours. Plan a quick 5 or to 10 minute break into your sessions. It will help your players, especially if things are getting tense. It'll help your players to kind of come back every so often, as you know, while you're playing. Tempers can flare. Bad things can happen that can make players upset. Just taking a 5-minute break in the middle of the campaign or the adventure can help people kind of recollect themselves, take care of biological functions, and just kind of refocus for the rest of this session. Shorter sessions where you're only doing a couple hours, you can just play straight through. That'll be kind of up to your players as far as what they like and what they need. That's just a specific day. But it's never a bad idea to give the players and let them know, hey, we are going to have a break in here somewhere. When it seems natural, go ahead and, okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Just like they do on Critical Role and a lot of other shows where they just go, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a second. And then they run ads for the things you probably already bought. So as soon as people come back, if you do need to leave when you're playing Roll20, I explain this to my players. What you do, you'll see a little camera icon and a speaker icon. If I hit the camera icon, my camera goes away. If I hit this speaker icon, they can't hear me, but you can, because I'm using it as a separate program to record my vocals and everything. Yeah. Also really useful when something unexpected happens and you need to go do something. Yeah. For people in chat, feel free to say hi. We're waiting for people to get back. If anyone has any questions right now, we have a little bit of the downtime, so I am more than happy to take questions. Yes, this is my natural hair color. And no, I can't tell you how to get your hair like this, because I don't even try to get my hair like this. It just happens.
On my character sheet, there's a tab for equipment, and then there's like active next to the things. Does active just mean I'm actively wearing them or carrying them, or like, so I can't access it if it's not checked, / is there a limit to how many things that I can have active if that's the case?
All that is under your actions tab, the weapon will show up. Technically, that means that you're actually wielding the weapon, and there are rules as far as what you can and can't wield. Things like, if you have a two-handed weapon, that takes both of your hands.
Right.
So obviously, just kind of using common sense as far as what you can wield makes
So we
sense.
can't magically grow a third hand?
I mean,
I didn't learn that in spy school.
You want? I'm not aware of there are items in Eberron that can give you an extra limb, but they're generally limited to artificers. So.
Oh. And they'd probably be a pain when you needed to change clothing.
If you're used to wearing them, you don't notice. And there's also a race which hasn't shown up as a player race in 5th edition, but they're called the Thry Kreen. They're from the Dark Sun setting, and they are insects. So they all have 4 arms and then 2 legs. And they're one of my favorite races because Dark Sun was my very first D&D campaign setting ever. But it is not for new players. Dark Sun is built to kill your characters. You generally don't even start at the first level because you will just die. You start at the 3rd level minimum. Cool. Is everyone back? Casey here?
Yeah.
Excellent. Anyone have any questions before we start playing the game?
I have a dice question.
Cool.
Since I've never played before, with this one, because you're saying, type in the roll 1d20 thing, for D&D, do we only use the single 20-sided die, or...
You will use, depending on your character, you will use just about all of them.
How do you know what to use?
It will actually tell you. If you go to your character sheet, let's real easy. What weapon do you have for your character?
Okay, where does it say that?
Are you on the character sheet itself?
Yes.
So on there, you'll see your attributes along the top.
Yes.
If you look at the walking speed and just go down, you'll see armor class, and right below that, you have this thing that's action, equipment, features. Click on the actions word, and just below that, you should see attack, and it'll list your weapons. Does it?
Under it says attack, unarmed strike.
Okay, that means you don't have your weapons equipped. So what I want you to go is click on equipment. You notice there's certain things that have little checkboxes next to them. Go ahead and click on those checkboxes. There's a little red square in them. That'll mean you have them equipped.
Okay, so I did that, and so then if
you go back to actions, you should see more things that are there.
That still says unarmed strike.
In your inventory, what does it say as far as what's the first thing that has a little box next to it?
Would that be in equipment?
Yes.
In inventory, bag of holding.
Ignore that. You shouldn't have a bag of holding yet. What's the next thing there?
A bag of tricks, and then I've got alchemist supplies.
Do you have
amulet,
any
and then
weapons?
arrows.
How did you build your character? Did you use quick build or
No, I use standard.
Okay. Really quickly, let's go back to edit character.
Okay. Where do I go for that?
So what you're gonna do in your character?
Oh,
sheet,
Eric character, found it.
Yeah. You'll see the creation. Go to equipment. And
Sorry to pause this, but I'm just looking at
that's
this like,
absolutely fine. What does it list under inventory?
Sorry, it's taking its sweet time.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, so you wanted me to go to equipment? Okay, starting equipment. It says choose equipment or gold, and then it says active items and inventory.
All right, so you haven't actually chosen your equipment. So what I want you to do to make things easier, click on where it says choose equipment. Go ahead and click on equipment.
Okay. I thought I clicked on it right. Okay, then. So then I have to choose Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yep. And then after you've chosen everything, on the very bottom, there'll be a little button that says add, I think, selected equipment.
Okay.
Once you do that, let me know. For those of you wondering at home, this is not an uncommon occurrence in an online game.
I am here to help you
Troubleshooting
all
is just
learn.
part of being a DM.
Okay, so I added the starting equipment, so now I should...
Don't leave you yet. What I want you to do, go back over your starting equipment, and there'll be certain ones that have a button on the right side that says wield. Click all of those.
The inventory?
Are you still on...
I'm still in equipment under my character goal.
Yep, so in inventory, there will be certain things that have a little button that says wield. It should be white with a green outline.
I have... Oh, wield, okay.
Yep.
So
everything that has that wield button, just go through and click it so it says either wielding or wearing.
Okay.
And that'll put them on your character sheet for you.
Okay, that
Once you've done that, go ahead and go next. Go view character sheet. And then now, if you look at actions, there should be a list of the things you can do.
Okay. Okay, look, I'll have a crossbow and a dagger.
All right, so if you look at the dagger, it's going to say range 5 feet. It's going to have hit / DC, and I'll say probably +4 for 5.
My range is, it says 20 and then 60 in parentheses.
Yep, that's a range. You can throw a dagger. We'll deal with that in a little bit.
Okay.
The thing I want you to focus on is under the damage, it should say 1d4 plus something.
Okay.
That is what you roll when you hit with that weapon. So for a dagger, you would roll 1d4, which if you've never seen one, this is a d4. It's a little tetrahedron or a pyramid.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. So that tells me what kind I'm rolling, and then the plus tells me
what you're adding to it after you roll.
Okay.
For most things you will do, thank you for phone. Calm down for phone.
The phone wants to play too. And so when this, like where we were doing in the chat thing, we were doing the 1d20, I would just, instead of the 20, I would put like the 4 or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Most of your rolls in the D&D are going to use the D20.
Okay.
Rolls to see if you hit with an attack, anytime you're making a skill check or anything like that. The D20 is what you use more than anything else. Depending on the items and spells and stuff you use, there may be other dice you use a lot. Like I had a sword mage way back in the 4th edition, but he used a long sword which used a D8 as the damage dice. So I rolled the D8s constantly. Because of that, I never really used like my D12 or my D4s. So different characters will use the different dice, but you will always use a D20.
Okay, thank you.
Either Kara or Kara. Sorry, Kara or Casey. I thought one of you guys had a good question.
I was just as a spell user. Should we? Am I getting ahead of myself with the magic and choosing spells now? Or...
No. You do want to choose spells. For right now, if you want to get into the nitty gritty and read through what all this spells do, you can. My recommendation: pick the ones that sound cool, and
Okay.
as we play, you can ask, "Hey, I have these spells. How can I use them?" And we can find ways to use them. To be blunt.
And
Go ahead.
cantrips. Are you do you choose cantrips as well, or do you just
Yes.
have access to?
So,
Okay, cool.
with how spells work in 5th edition, you have levels of spells, and you have a limited number of spells you can cast per day, depending on your class. You're a druid?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, druids actually have a number of spells they prepare in the morning, and they have their cantrips. Cantrips are spells you can just do. You're so used to them, they're so familiar to you that you can cast them as many times as you want. There's no limit to them. The only limiting factor is how long they take to cast, which most of them will be a single action. Leveled spells are more powerful, but you have a limited amount. I believe as a first level druid, you should have 2 first level slots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of building the character, it'll tell you how many spells you can prepare a day. Like I said, just pick a few that sound
Oh,
cool.
I've got 4 actually. 4 spells, 2 cantrips.
Yep.
On here.
This sounds about right. Spellcasting gets really complicated really quick. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty of it, but for spellcasting classes, they will really define how you play your cast. If you pick a lot of offensive damage based spells, you'll probably be kind of the sorcerer, deathbringer kind of thing. You choose a lot of support spells or healing spells. It's going to change how you play your character. At first level, you're kind of, pick the different spells, see which ones you like that fit with your character. The nice thing about a druid is unlike sorcerers or wizards where they have specific spells that they learn, and those are the only ones they can choose to prepare. Every morning as a druid, you get to pick your daily spells from the entire spell list. So every morning, you might have a new set of spells. Again, we don't want to get too confusing with it right now. But yeah, druids are fun. Nature spellcasters and divine spellcasters, they get to work kind of uniquely. Cool. Any other questions? Excellent. So let's start the adventure. As a the DM for a new group of players, I've done a couple videos on my channel about how to run pre-written adventures. If it's your first time DMing, use pre-written adventures. It's just a good idea. I've been doing this for almost a decade, so I can kind of come up with my own stuff. Part of a pre-written adventure is they will have what's called adventure hooks, reasons for why the characters would get together and adventure. Something about the D&D in general, unless you have like a problem player, people are coming to the table to play the D&D. So you don't need to spend hours upon hours coming up with very intricate plot reasons for why every character is there, and ensuring every single character has a single personal motivation for why they're going out to adventure, why they chose this group. I've done that. It can be a lot of fun. It takes forever to do that. Because the players are here to play, all you really need to give them is the just smallest little hint of a reason to go out, and most players will just jump on it and go, "Oh, yes, that's why I'm here." If you're a new player and you're really into your backstory, come up with a reason to adventure. Don't be the player going, "Well, my character has no reason to do this." Yes, it does, because you're here and you're playing the game. Come up with something. As an actor, I used to have to come up with random bullshit reasons as to why I had to randomly cross the stage, because one side of the stage was too heavy with actors. You can figure out a reason for your character to go out.
Fake it till you make it.
But if you're running your first custom campaign, or you don't have an adventurer's hook, the classic hook, which we are going to use here, is hold, please. I'm going to very quickly do something that's to add a little bit of ambiance. There we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to start in a tavern. This is where all the D&D adventures start, is the trope. The reason this is a trope is in most D&D societies, the tavern or the inn is the local gathering place. This is where people come to meet with their friends, to get the news of the day. This is before a movable type and things like that allowed for wide dissemination of things like newspaper and that. So if you wanted to find out what was going on, you went to the local watering hole, which was the tavern. Adventurers are people that have decided to make their little living off of going out and performing quests and doing deeds. When they're first starting out, people aren't coming up to them going, hey, can you go do this dangerous thing that will probably get you killed? So what they do is they go to the local watering hole and they look for people that have problems. Because people that have problems are also going to the local watering hole to find people to fix those problems for them. Now, there are certain campaign settings that actually have specific places where adventurers just kind of sit around waiting to be hired that people can come to. In the Neverwinter, in the Forgotten Realms, they actually have a place called the Trade of Blades, which is just an adventurer's hall. People could come there and go, hey, I need, the 3 people to get rid of a kobold infestation. And they'll go, I'll do it for 10 gold, or something like that. Most other places might have what's called an adventuring guild. It's a specific place for adventurers to hang out. Sometimes guilds like this cost fees. But to make everything simple, we are just going to set everything in the local tavern, which we are going to call the Dragon's Tail. So, you have all come from various places, deciding that though you have had illustrious careers in your various fields, you would like to become an adventurer. Someone who braves dangers, sees exotic, amazing places, and makes a little living off of going off and solving problems for people. Some adventurers are very noble. They will do what is right for the world. They will risk their lives to make the world better. Other adventurers are a little bit more self-motivated, where it doesn't really matter what you want them to do, as long as the price is right. Your specific characters are there for reasons only your characters know. But you've shown up in the local inn called the Dragon's Tail of a relatively small village outside of any of the larger city-states around, called Greenshire. Having traveled from various places, you've all come to settle in Greenshire for one reason and one reason alone. It's a small enough town that there's not a ton of competition for adventures, and because of that, there are a lot of problems that need solving. Hopefully, problems that are worthy enough that they can pay for your rooms, your food, and maybe a little bit extra, so you can start living that adventure as a little life. All of you have come into the tavern at various times, but you all have come in with the idea that adventuring alone is a perfect way to end up in a pine box. So the first thing you do is you come in, you look for a table where you see other adventure types looking. You all sit down at this same table and kind of eye each other over, trying to guess what each person's motivation to be there is. The room itself is somewhat thick with smoke of pipes being used in various places. There's some light music of a local bard playing for coins so they can eat that night. And there's a low-level amount of sound coming from various people trading stories, trading jokes, finding out what the news of the area is. As you all sit down, the table you're at, it's kind of tacky. As you rest your arms on it, some of you may decide, after they stick slightly to it, to maybe not leave the things on the table. And the acrid air around you has that kind of distinctive smell of burning tobacco leaves mixed with sweat and work that you will generally find in smaller towns like this that are supported by their farming population. As you sit down and are eyeing each other, a larger gentleman with a big gut that seems to have its own momentum walks over to you, notices you sitting there and goes, "Hey, you want something to drink? What would you like to do?"
I will have some ale, please.
Good. The rest of you?
I'll have the same.
Yeah, I'll have the same.
Same.
You're not sure if that was him acknowledging you or his stomach simply acknowledging what it ate previously. But he walks over to the bar to put a slight pause. As a dungeon master, one of the best things you can do is set this scene for your players. The more you give them, the better they're going to be able to react to everything. I generally recommend give them a visual description, but also use some other senses. Tell them what it smells like. Tell them what it feels like. Like the table itself is kind of tacky. Everyone, most people, I can't speak for everyone, but most people have sat at a table in like a greasy spoon or somewhere that was not cleaned quite as well as it should be, and it just makes you feel kind of skeevy. That little bit of information is going to draw the players into the story that little bit more, make them that much more invested in it. I tend to use a scent a lot because it's something people don't think about, but it's one of the strongest indicators of memory. A scent can bring you instantly back to a memory. So don't forget when you're describing a new location, add just a single other sense, something they hear, something they smell, something they feel, to give them something to work off of. Now, players, well, go ahead.
I currently have no money.
That's absolutely fun.
Okay.
We will deal with money in a second.
We're dining and dashing. As long as we can outrun the guy's gut, I think we're fine.
But part of your background should have given you at least a little bit of money, though with being sages, you guys might be flat broke. I can't actually remember what they could get. But being an adventurer, you have alternate means of getting funds. And because this society is built on adventuring, everybody knows. If you don't have good gold to pay them, you might be able to pay them through services. It's a very common thing in a D&D game to go, I don't have any money, but if you have a problem, I can totally fix it for you.
Gotcha.
So, for players, when you are given this incredibly well described and painted situation by a master dungeon master like myself, your first feeling can be that of overwhelm. It can seem a little bit weird when you're just given the idea of, okay, what do you want to do? The absolute best thing you can do in that situation is do anything. Doesn't matter what it is, whether you think it's right or wrong. Choices are what makes D&D. So, to give you a few examples to kind of fuel your creativity. When he came over, he asked for drinks. Always a great idea to give your players someone to interact with. You guys all took the choice of, I'm going to order a drink. Let's change things up a little bit. I know this is literally the first thing we've done, but I'm going to go ahead and do this scene again, just from when he comes in. Don't order a drink. Choose anything else. Doesn't matter what. Doesn't matter if it seems silly or if it doesn't seem in character. We will deal with in character a little later. Try something different. So, cool description. Lots of stuff going around. Big dude. His gut is its own thing. Comes over. Hey, you want a drink?
Great to be high.
I did not hear that. Just say that one more time.
Great knee high.
And he just looks at you. The rest of you.
Sir, I've been on the road for a bit. Is there any news we should know about? Anything suspicious going on?
And you see him just get this huge intake of breath to the point where you're kind of wondering where all the air is going. Obviously, very large person has a very large lung capacity. He lets out this sigh that seems to last for eons and goes, if you're looking for work, the flashy dressed dude over there, talk to him. He's got money. He hires people. I just serve drinks.
Thank you, sir.
The rest of you want something to drink?
Have you got anything to eat?
Yes, we've got day old bread, mostly not rotten meat.
I'll take the bread.
Good. Anything else?
I'm just gonna stare until you walk away.
Again, it looks at you, turns away. So, perfectly valid choice to answer his response of, or his question of, hey, do you want a drink with, yes, let me have a drink. I'm really loving the radar reference from Jackie.
That was for you.
If anyone has no idea what that is, you uncultured swine, go binge watch MASH. The rest of you had brilliant choices. It's an inn, so obviously they're gonna have food. So asking for food, totally good, and it gives you an option to interact more with the character. If all you're doing is answering questions and not asking your own, the DM is going to have to really spoon feed you everything, which can be very exhausting for the DM. But if you're asking things like Kara was perfect, sitting there and going, hey, we're looking for work, which you are.
And you asked it in a really cool way with any news.
Yep, it's perfect. And it gives the DM a way to give you a hook to do something. And it adds in another character. Again, in this inn, there are tons of people around. However, none of them really exist yet because you haven't interacted with any of them. We just know that there's no noise going on. We know that there's other people there. But as soon as you start interacting with them, they go from a pretty background to an actual living creature that's going to affect your story. From a DM's perspective, if you are running your own campaign, it is a good idea to have a couple quick characters just jotted down. Generally, you want a name, a few notes about maybe mannerisms or how they're dressed, just to give yourself something to emulate, and then give them something to do. Maybe one or two notes about why they're there. I am an improvisational DM. I've got tons of different characters just like filed away in my brain, and I would just bring one up randomly. This is not a great way to run games, because it generally turns into you having to remember which random character you've inserted where, but for some people it works. I rely heavily on my players taking good notes, so when I do forget things, I can go, wait a minute, what did I say before? Establish a relationship with your players. It's a good idea. All right, so he heads off. You guys are now alone at the table. Casey, Seven, is just kind of staring, standoffish. I've just realized I didn't mention Casey. It's a brilliant character choice to just be that kind of standoffish, not speaking much character. Everyone already knows why you're there. That's why you all sat together. You're there for an adventure. So you don't actually have to tell them that, hey, I'm here to adventure. They know that. So if you want to just kind of sit back and wait to learn things, that's a completely valid thing to do. And if you are an untrusting character, actually kind of makes sense. You look and see what everyone else is doing and then react to it, instead of being the thing that people have to react to. So very, very good choice. Again, it's all about your choices, and there really isn't quote-unquote wrong choices. There are different choices. Whatever you do, if you think it, doesn't fit with your character, how you design them, well, you have a choice. Either don't take that action if you feel it's that wrong, or if you have to take that action, come up with a reason why they decided to do it that way. Let your character change and grow as you grow as a player. So, getting back to the table, you guys are all sitting there. The large refrigerator-shaped man has left. And now you are kind of sequestered with each other as you wait to see if anything is going to come back from him, or if that's the last you've seen of Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Can I keep an eye on the the person that he pointed out that it might have work. Can I just have a look at him?
Sure. Just to get people rolling, I'm going to have you roll what's a perception check. The way you do that, so you're going to roll a d20, and if you go to your character sheet, one of your skills should be perception. Next to it, you will have a number, either a plus or a minus. That's what you're going to add to your roll.
Ooh. 10.
All right?
Okay, so I got 13 plus 1, 14.
So for right now, I'm only going to have Kara, sorry. Kara going to roll. If I want everyone to roll, I will say, all right, everybody give me this check. In general, if I'm having a conversation with a single player, and I say I'm going to have you make a roll, generally I'm talking to that player. This is not true of all DMs. Again, communication is important. So go ahead and remember the roll you made, Ryan. I will loop that into this storyline in just a second. We're going to use with Kara first. So, with a 10, as the waiter came over and he gestured to this rather flamboyantly dressed person, you did notice them, but then your sight got drawn back to the waiter, and after dealing with him as he walked off, you went to glance back to where you saw him, and he's not there anymore. And you feel this very slight bit of panic as you realize you just had your first contact of a first person that might hire you as an adventurer, and you've already lost them. So you start to panic a little. You start looking around, trying to figure out, where did they go? How could I lose them already? Ryan, sorry, Alden. You notice that Raven, which you don't know her name yet, but you notice the wood elf there, in kind of a naturey motif, is panicking a little bit. You can see she's looking around. She seems to be looking for something. So very naturally, you start looking around as well. You dealt with bad things. Knowing about your environment is something you do naturally. And as you look around, you actually spot in a back corner booth that doesn't have any lighting in it, so it's mostly in shadow. You do see the person that the waiter had referenced before, that was at the bar before, and you can see he's deep in a conversation with someone that your instincts instantly make you want to avoid. He's hunched over. He has a rather heavy black cloak, the hood of which is down. He has this big scar across one of his eyes, and that eye itself looks to not be working anymore, just a pure milky white. He has this scraggly beard. Parts of it are missing because there's scars on it, and he wears this ring. You can't really see the symbol on it, but it's obviously some sort of either a signet ring or this is something important, and it's big. It's big. It's made of gold, which is in a town like this can be sometimes a bad idea to be wearing something that large. But everything about the way he sits, the way he moves, the conversation they seem to be having that you can't currently hear, makes you feel wary about him. So as that happens, Kakar, you keep looking around. You do notice, Raven, you keep looking around. You do notice that Alden has fixated on something in the corner, and as you kind of follow his gaze, you've found the person that you're supposed to be talking to, and he seems to have another friend as well. Perhaps another party member or someone else that can hire you. You're not sure, but you're just meeting lots of people now. To put a slight pause, this is another effective way to kind of bring your characters in. I don't know their characters very well yet, so I'm making some assumptions. Some players will run with this, some players will correct you. never feel bad if you make an assumption and it doesn't fit with what the players want to play, and they feel the need to correct you. It's their characters. You're simply this is a storyteller. But by describing the same person or this is the same situation in two different ways, you start to help the players realize the different ways you can view a situation, and it gives them choices. They can decide, okay, the person that's just super paranoid and sees this as a very bad person, his perception of it is the one that we're going to take, and we're going to accept that as true. Or the druid that sees him as a friendly person, possibly a new person to hire them, we're going to choose to believe that is the truth, and we're going to react that way. You want to give them choices, because the more choices they can make, the more fun this story gets. So, going back, as Alden and Raven seem fixated on that, Seven and Eris, what are you guys doing as these guys are fixated on a booth?
I'm looking around to see what else stands out to me in the room.
Okay. Another tip you can have is if players say something kind of generic, like I'm just kind of scanning the room, you can use the player to help you build the narrative. Obviously, the player character themselves is searching for something for a reason. So let's let the player decide what it is they're looking for and kind of build a world around that. So, Seven, what specifically would you be kind of looking for? Are you looking for things that could be causing trouble? Like, are you worried that a bar fight is going to start? Are you looking for criminal context that you might be able to use to find some maybe less than legal work? What kind of things are you focusing on?
Yeah, the first one. I'm just looking and making sure that everything's like... I am thinking that I might eventually go and focus on what the other two are focusing on, but I sort of want to make sure that the room is okay before I do that.
So you're getting kind of a read of the room.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to have you roll me an insight check. A lot of people assume insight is just to tell when people are lying. But insight is basically your kind of gut feeling. You can use it to tell when you think people might be lying or to telling the truth. You can also use it just kind of read the mood of a room. You can use it to kind of intuit certain things like, okay, I'm not sure which path I want to take, whether in this forest. What does my gut tell me? Well, we'll roll an insight check. And depending on what they roll, you can give them good information if they roll high. Oh, you think this path to the left seems safer, and help them avoid maybe a trap or something. Or if they get bad rolls, their gut can lie to them. Oh, you're relatively certain that this path with the giant boulder resting precariously next to it is perfectly safe. You should probably go that direction. So,
Okay.
Seven, what'd you get?
Right. I'm supposed to do a 20.
Yep, roll a d20, and then add your insight modifier.
8.
8. Cool. So as you're sitting there, just looking around to see what dangerous things could be around you, you notice there is a booth behind you. You guys are kind of at a table somewhat in the middle of the inn, chosen mostly because it meant that you were close to anyone that could possibly offer you work and make it very easy to find you. However, it also means you're kind of surrounded, and as you look around, there's guys in the booth behind you that you're just not getting a good vibe for. As you kind of look them over, you notice their hands are not on the table. They're not speaking with their hands. Their hands are near their belts, which is generally where people wear their swords and the daggers and the things like that. And they keep looking around very shifty. They're also, but because of how the table is set up, you are the only person that can actually see these people. Everyone else's backs are to these people. Alden and Raven have their backs to it because they're looking in the opposite direction. And Eris has her back to it because her chair is, that's just where her chair is. So at the moment, you think you're the only person that can see these people. To you, it seems like they're starting to reach for weapons. While that's going on, Eris, what are you to do?
My character is very, very horribly socially awkward in group situations. So part of me is kicking myself in the butt for ordering a grape knee-high when clearly this is not a grape knee-high situation. But I had seen the guy in the corner with the creepy eye and the ring, and I recognized the ring, but I can't remember where I saw it, but I have a really, 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 really bad feeling about it. And since I'm a bard, part of me wants to, try to distract people so I can, do some sort of song and dance and get over there, but I'm thinking, okay, social awkward, I'd probably start a fire on accident and, burn the place down if I tried to distract, but I'm trying to figure out, do I have the courage to get over my social awkwardness? Because it's really bad.
Okay.
Try something.
So there was a lot in that reaction. The one thing I will mention, since we've already given the description to Ryan that he was having a hard time seeing what the ring is, generally, you're looking across a really crowded room, there's smoke in the air, being able to notice a signet from that far away is going to be a little difficult.
It's mostly the guy. It's mostly the guy that I recognize.
Okay, so that you recognize the guy. Cool.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is in situations where your players might be getting a little bit of telling the story rather than making choices and seeing where that leads a story, don't feel bad about going, okay, let's have you roll a history check to see if you do actually remember this person, or if you were looking for this signet ring. Let's have you make an investigation check to see if you can actually see it from that far away, just to add a little bit of randomness and add some dice rolling to it. So since you're relatively certain you recognize this guy, let's have you roll a history check. And see,
okay, so mine says history, so +3, so I roll the die and then I add the +3 to it, right?
Yep.
Holy cow, 21.
21, that's pretty good. So, looking at this guy, there's something in the back of your head. You're like, I know this guy. Why do I know this guy? I am in a random, tiny little town. Why would I know anyone here? And so you keep thinking on it, and you suddenly realize, I know this guy because he doesn't belong here either. But back when you worked in the library of a much larger city, which I will let you pick whatever name you want. But in this large city, you worked as a researcher in their arcane library. Being a bard, the magic was kind of cool to you, but you were more interested in the stories behind it. But while we were working there, there was a situation that you remember. There was this noble that came in, dressed in full battle armor, which was weird to come into a library wearing a shield and plate mail and a sword and everything. Like, it's just not generally what you do for an outing to the library. He came in, he spoke with the head librarian, basically your boss, and you didn't hear everything from the conversation, but you heard very choice words. He was very derogatory and kind of yelling at him, and he was looking for a very specific book that you're kind of racking your brain right now to remember what it was that he was looking for. But you seem to remember it has something to do with magic jewelry. Though the conversation was far enough away and they continued it as they went to a reference section, you didn't hear all of it. But you remember distinctly it's something to do with magic jewelry.
So everyone's got to have blame.
Yeah. So, 7. With the information you have now, what do you want to do? Seeing as everyone else is kind of wrapped in their own thing right now.
Oh, sorry. I was on mute. Sorry. Are they sitting down or are they sitting down?
Currently, yes, but your gut tells you they won't be very long.
Okay. Do they have drinks?
Roll me a perception check.
These dice don't like me very much. 7.
Welcome to my world. Right now, you are really fixated on watching where their hands are. That you're not even noticing what's on the table. It's a survival technique that, because of your lifestyle, is second nature to you. When you get into a situation where bad things could just start happening, you focus on what is going to hurt me. And right now, whether or not they have drinks is not going to hurt you as much as them pulling a dagger and shoving it into your ribs. So, unfortunately, you don't know. To pause the action for a second, that's another thing you can do by limiting the information you give to the players. Having a lack of information is just as useful as having an abundance of information. Because not knowing something can make people make assumptions and take actions on it just as often as knowing something can modify what they want to do. So as a dungeon master, don't feel bad about telling them you don't know, you weren't able to figure it out. That can be a very effective tool for giving them more choices to make. So, with that knowledge, this is a 7. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna stay seated, but I'm gonna make. Can I make eye contact with one of them?
Sure. As you're sitting there, how do you want to make eye contact? Do you just want to kind of our eyes meet across the room? There's this swell of music. La, da, 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 da.
Wait a minute, my back's to these people. How far away are they? I don't want to get in the middle of a romantic moment.
We'll get to that in just a second. What is your intent in making eye contact?
Not aggressive, but sort of like, hi, I am here, and I notice you. Sort of like that.
Kind of I notice you. Well, I notice you, and noticing me. I notice that you notice me, and noticing you.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and make me a persuasion check.
Okay. Someday I'll roll something that's higher than a 6. I got persuasion. I got 5.
As you do that, one of them does kind of lock eyes with you, and you see his jaw just kind of sets into this grimace. He looks at you and he grunts. He's like, "Hey, your eyes seem stuck. Maybe you should fix that." Eris, you notice this interaction coming where you hear a voice being directed in your direction from directly behind you. Probably no more than about 3 or 4 feet behind your chair. You hear this very loud, very aggressive voice being directed at you, and as you just kind of look around, you notice that 7 is staring kind of daggers through you. As that happens, Alden and Raven, you guys notice as well, something has happened because someone has addressed the table. in an even more kind of uncomplimentary matter than the large refrigerator-shaped waiter did previously. So your gaze is naturally drawn to the other side of this room, where it seems like some sort of conflict is brewing between Seven and these guys sitting in a booth. What would you all like to do?
I'm just gonna head down and like try not to involve myself in the situation until I'm forced to.
Can I stare at the same guy that Seven's staring at?
Sure. What would you like to what kind of stare would you like? Something like, hey, stand down. I'm noticing you. How you doing? What are you thinking?
like a stand down kind of stare.
Okay. Go ahead and make me an intimidation check.
Okay. Intimidation. Okay. That would be a 17.
All right. So as you sit there and you turn, you've seen some shit. And as you stare at this guy, you're not just staring at him. You are kind of pouring all of the kind of horrors from your life into this stare, into him specifically. And as he breaks eye contact with Seven and looks at you, he goes from this kind of aggressive, intimidating look to he looks at you and he flinches for a second. And you see him kind of look to his partner there, and they both kind of shift back into their seats slightly, but he's not breaking eye contact. While that's going on, Seven, Eris, what are you guys doing?
Did you want to go first, Seven?
Sure. I will have. So they shifted, but are their hands still under the table and stuff?
Oh, definitely. The guy that you were making eye contact, his hand has moved to his back hip, and you can actually see what it is that he's reaching for, but he's obviously reaching for something.
Okay. I'm going to look slightly away, but like still keeping an eye on them, in that since he is not making eye contact with me anymore, there isn't really much sense in, but I don't know.
Okay. Kind of just trying to de-escalate this situation.
Yeah.
Still. Okay, cool.
Like sort of like being aware, but not really that interested in making a scene in the bar.
Understand completely. Eris.
I am turning my chair so I don't accidentally instigate something with my back to one side and get a dagger in my back, because that would suck. And I pull out. I'm trying to remember which ones I chose. I want to pull out one of my. Since I'm a bard, I want to pull out one of my instruments and start playing it, because I like the idea of music.
Okay. What I would like you to do, make me an acrobatics check.
Oh, good lord! There's an acrobatics check. That is cool. Okay. Just like this is okay.
So while she's rolling that, something that a lot of DMs will do, and I personally love it, is all actions have good consequences, and there's a good chance, just in life in general, you will take an action that you don't realize what the consequences of it are going to be, because you don't have the full picture. This is how life works. You will make the decisions based on your viewpoint, but you can't know everything. So every so often, as a DM, I will ask for what seems like a really odd roll for what you're doing, because the action that they're taking is going to have unforeseen consequences, and I want to give the players a little bit of control over what happens because of those consequences. Anytime you have the players roll, that is putting control in their hands to a point. Because their skills are all different in that, a 7 for on the die for one character might be a failing roll. It might be a success for another. So it's giving them the opportunity to succeed instead of just telling them what happens. Which
You said an acrobatics roll?
yeah, acrobatics.
Okay. So that'll be a total of 11.
11. Okay. So as you start to move your chair, the table is not the only thing in this tavern that has kind of a film on it. The floor itself is a little bit sticky, and as you kind of try and move the chair, the chair catches, and you instantly start falling. But because you just start flailing, you just start grabbing for the instrument. Did you figure out which instrument you were going for?
Let me think. Hang on, I think I did.
If you go to the inventory section, it should list the instrument. Otherwise, just pick one. It doesn't really matter.
Yes, it was the because I'm a total dork. Where'd it go? I just saw it.
The
It was the dulcimer.
Dulcimer.
I like
Brilliant. The reason I ask that is anytime you can bring what the characters have already, the players have already decided into the conversation, it just helps to connect it and validate their choices. So, are you familiar with what a dulcimer is?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. For those of you that
I
don't
just wanted
know,
to make sure I had actually selected it.
Yep. For those of you who don't know, a dulcimer is a stringed instrument. You can play it by plucking, but you actually can play it using little mallets as well, of a very called a hammered dulcimer, I believe. But it's a stringed instrument. It is not a small instrument. So more likely than not, this should have been something you're wearing on your back, possibly like with a strap to carry it with you. So to kind of paint the picture of what's happening, all anyone sees is you reaching to where generally someone would hold arrows or maybe a sword or something, and spinning your chair very quickly as you pull a large object towards people that are starting to become aggressive. As the chair catches, you go flying. You are sprawled on the floor. You hit a little bit hard. Being a musician, the first thing you do is you cradle the dulcimer. The dulcimer probably costs more than everything else you own combined. So your instant thought is, I'm going to protect the dulcimer. This is how I make money when people aren't paying me to do adventure type stuff. And you are now prone on the ground. When that happens, the world seems to slow for a second. The music itself, the bard that is playing stops. All eyes on the in the tavern are on you. These two people, as they see movement, instantly stand up. You guys hear, for some of you, the very familiar sound of weapons being unsheathed as one guy pulls out this very wicked-looking Chris dagger, and the other one from beside him in the booth pulls out a light crossbow and brings it to his shoulders. As this happens, I would like everyone to roll for initiative. Now, what this means for anyone that's never done this, initiative means you're getting into combat, and we're going to put you in order so that we know what's going on. So, on your character sheet, there should be a thing that says initiative. It's literally just your dex modifier.
Well, I don't see an initiative.
So on your character sheet, under right next to your stats, you see a thing, proficiency bonus, and then under it is an initiative. So just roll a d20 and add that.
Is it the one under saving throws?
It's the one under proficiency bonus.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Oh, the proficiency bonus. Oh, initiative. Oh, sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
a big thing. It says an initiative.
Yeah, sorry guys. Didn't mean to start a fight.
It happens.
I
I
got
told
one.
you
God.
I'm socially awkward.
Now, as a tip for the dungeon masters, combat takes time. So understand if you're starting combat, time is going to slow for the characters and is going to stretch for the players. Each round lasts 6 seconds of in-game time, but will last an upwards of 10 to 15 minutes, depending on what's going on. So understand, once you start combat, this is what you're going to be doing for the next like 30-ish minutes. That being said, let's start with Ryan. What did you get?
I got an amazing 6.
All right. Raven?
I got 11.
11. This is 7.
16.
Not bad. Eris?
I started it, so I'm in trouble. I got a 22.
All right. Not bad at all. And
I'm the idiot hugging the instrument on the floor going crap, 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 crap.
There we are. I should probably have my monster stats. Now, this is something I do on a fairly regular basis. Is I don't tell my players. I make up stats on the fly. Simply because I've been doing this long enough, I know what attack rolls and stuff like that are going to be. I don't run for first level adventures that much, so I am going to actually use as a stat block for these creatures. And for like planned encounters, I plan them out and I choose specific monsters. For random stuff, a lot of times I'll just make it up and go, okay, this is a decent AC for characters at this level, and this is kind of how much the damage they would do. In general, the monster manual is your friend. So I need. Oh, they don't have a dex mod. That's perfect for a dude shooting a crossbow. All right, and then so these two guys get up and they look pissed. But before they can do anything, and I'm going to very quickly. In Roll20, they actually have all this music you can use. I'm right now looking at
The one thing.
Kevin MacLeod's stuff. Kevin MacLeod's an artist. All of his stuff is what's called Creative Commons, meaning it's free to use. You just have to credit him, and he's brilliant. I'm just going to pick the first track because I know his stuff. Adding music to the game can really help the players to focus and just add a little bit of fun. This is not the battle music I would normally choose, but I'm live, so. So, when you're setting up a campaign, you don't have to do this stuff, but I like to go through the music and just find something that feels right for setting the ambience. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit because that's a little loud, and it's just nice to have something in the background. So, Eris, your turn is first. Combat is run in rounds, and each player has a turn. Turn order is figured out by who rolls the highest initiative. Each person goes in order of their initiative. When we get back to the when we get done with everyone, we go back to the top. We start the next round. There will be certain abilities that will say things like the end of your next turn or something like that. That's what they're referencing. Your turn is what you are when you are specifically acting. The round is everybody acting at this. Everyone acting in that thing. Everyone taking their turn. So, in combat, you have 3 things that you can do. We're going to, this being your first round, we're going to focus on 2 of them, which are, you have an action and a movement. Movement should sound pretty self-explanatory. You can move around. Action is basically everything else you do. If you want to cast a spell, make an attack, things like that, you're going to use your action for that. Now, as a tip to DMs, if you're running the Theater of the Mind combat, you do need to set the stage a little bit, specifically distances. I've already said they're only about 3 or 4 feet behind you, so you are currently prone, meaning you're lying on the floor, and the guy with the dagger is right next to you. The guy with the crossbow is about 5 feet away from you. The reason these distances are important is because that's going to dictate if they can use ranged attacks, if they can use melee attacks, how their spells are going to work.
Okay, you said dagger is right next to me?
Yep. I'll get to your turn in just a second as I finish kind of setting the stage. Perfectly all right. So you want to set up distances between the characters and the enemy, and also set the scene for what else is around them so that they can do more than just, oh, I'm going to run and attack. If they want to get creative. Obviously, you have a table within about 5 feet of you. The bar itself is about 10 feet behind you right now. There's another table about 10 feet away from the other side of the table, and then there's a booth about 10 feet beyond that. And obviously, there are people. They have all given you a wide berth. They have all spread out to the walls and everything. So you basically have no one on the kind of main floor of this inn other than you and these guys. So, knowing that and knowing what's kind of around you, what would you like to do? So to make things slightly easier on you.
That
right
would
now,
really help.
Yeah, no, not a problem. This is one of the more overwhelming aspects of your first combat. What am I supposed to do? Put yourself in the mind of your character. You are currently lying on the ground. The condition is called prone. You can be either prone or prostrate, whichever you prefer. Which is just face down or face up.
Yeah, no, I know.
Some people don't. If you're in a situation where there's a dude within striking distance with a sharp object, excuse me for just a second. Those gravelly tones are really rough on your throat.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You're lying on the ground. There's a guy ready to attack you mere feet from you. What do you think would be the first thing you would do? Would you crawl away from the person? Would you try and stand up and get ready to defend yourself? You know, start with just your kind of gut reaction. We can go to tactics later. What do you think your character, what is their gut reaction to this?
To kick the guy away.
Okay, you can do that. You can make an unarmed strike against him. Being prone, it's actually a little bit more difficult to hit someone than normal. So we're going to use the kind of defining feature of 5th edition, which is the advantage and disadvantage system. What I would like you to do on the D&D Beyond, you have an unarmed strike. Go ahead and roll a d20. But what I want you to do is roll the d20 twice and pick the lower of the two numbers that you roll. That's called rolling with disadvantage.
Okay. Five.
Okay. So,
So I can't get cards.
don't forget to add your unarmed strike modifier to it. That'll be the number under hit / DC.
Okay, so 6.
6. Okay. So, as you sit here and you kind of go to kick at him, you impact his leg and do nothing. His leg doesn't even move, but he looks at you and just gives this kind of snarl as he starts to bring up the crysknife. That was your action. you still have a movement. You have a couple different options. You can try to stand up. That will, or you can just stand up. There is no try. Stand or stand not. There is no try.
Thank you, Yoda. I was hoping you'd go there.
So you can stand up. That will take half your movement. So if you have a 30-foot movement speed, it'll take 15 feet to just stand up. If you don't want to do that, you can try crawling away. However, since he's right next to you, if you leave the area that he can attack, he's going to get a free attack against you called an opportunity attack. So, you've just kicked the guy. It looks like all you've succeeded in doing is annoying him. With that, do you want to move? Do you want to stand up? You do know, with him being standing and you being prone, he will have advantage on his attack to, on his attempt to attack you. So it's easier for him to try to attack you because you're on the ground.
Yeah, stand up.
Stand up, okay. So you stand up, you kind of brush yourself off. He still looks mad. You still have 15 feet of movement. You can try to move away. You can stand your ground. What would you like?
Can I hide behind the bar 10 feet away?
You can attempt it. You will need to move first. So if that's what you want to do, I'm going to just have him roll an opportunity attack as you go away. However, since you're standing, it's just a regular roll. He doesn't get an advantage on it. So you've just improved your chances of being missed. So... Sorry, I just picked the stat block that said thug, so I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be super easy. But he gets a multi-attack, which for characters your grade is a death sentence. So I'm just gonna real quick. Sorry, that's how it works.
As long as I die protecting my Dulcimer, we're fine.
Oh, you always got it. There we go. We can use him. We just won't use this spell casting. Much better. Okay, cool. All right, so he got a 20. So when they're making attacks against you, it's going to be against your armor class, which will be on your character sheet. What is your armor class?
13.
13. So 28 is higher than the 13. So he's going to succeed in his hit. Now,
ouch.
Normally you would roll for an attack. On monster stat blocks, they have this thing called average damage, which just gives me a number that every time they hit, I'll just do that damage to avoid having to roll over and over and over again when I'm running monsters. So you're going to take 2 bludgeoning damage. So on the character sheet, you'll see where it says your hit points in the upper right corner. If you type 2 into that box there and click the damage, it'll automatically subtract that for you.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that nice? That's why I like the D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond, if you would like to sponsor my stream, I would be more than happy. I get an average of 1 viewer on most of my streams, so... And that viewer is me. So, with that being said, that is the end of your turn. We're going to go
to show me how it's done.
the next highest, which is going to be 7.
7 kicks and butts.
Alright. So, I'm sorry, where did Eris go?
Eris, that was another thing I was going to have you do. Eris, as you're going to kind of leap over the bar and hide behind it, I just want you to roll me an athletics check. Because kind of vaulting the bar is kind of difficult.
Especially holding a Dulcimer.
Mm-hmm. I would assume at this point you just kind of slung it back over your shoulders.
Yeah. 15.
15. Okay, so as you get there, you discover strength you weren't really aware you possessed. As you plant your hands on the bar, you swing your legs over, and you glide over, sliding on a little bit, land in the back where you see the waiter is apparently also the barkeep, and he's standing there, wiping a glass down, just looking at you as you cower behind his bar.
It's pure unadulterated fear, works every time.
All right, this is 7.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just. The opponents have weapons drawn. Is that right?
Yes, one has a dagger, one has a light crossbow.
Okay. I'm gonna go in and I don't know. I have these weapons. I guess I have a short sword.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll try and slash them with the sword.
Okay, so you draw the sword out, and go ahead and make me an attack roll.
So it's just a 21.
Yeah, you D20 on your character sheet. You should see short sword listed. It will right next to the range. It'll say hit / the DC. Add that in a number to your D20 roll.
25.
25. Did you roll a 20 on the D20?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's called a nat 20 or a crit. Those are special in D&D. It's the highest number you can roll. In combat, that means not only do you automatically hit, it doesn't matter what their armor class is, you will just hit. It means you do extra damage. So what I want you to do, for your short sword, it should be 1d6 plus a modifier for the damage, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because you got a crit, I want you to roll 2d6 and add the modifier.
Okay. So I add up these two numbers, and then I add 9.
9. Cool. So, you go over, you plunge the the other question I have, were you aiming for the dude with the dagger or the crossbow?
I'll say dagger.
Okay. So, as Eris falls down and is crawling away, dives behind the bar, you instantly throw your chair down, draw your short sword, come forward and plunge it into the stomach of the guy with the dagger. You watch his eyes grow wide. You see a pained look on his face as he slowly falls to the ground into a pool of his own blood. Now,
Good news.
that is a very common way for new players to do it. They'll say, I'm going to attack this person, and then the DM kind of adds some flavor to it. You've already hit, you've already killed the guy, so I'm not going to make you re-roll. However, given this is a situation that you're in, you have a table, you have the booth, you have everything there. What you can do, and I'm not going to make you do this if you don't want to, but I'm going to give you the option. Would you like to kind of describe how you want to attack him instead of just saying, oh, I had to attack him?
No, not right now.
Not a problem. Something that will help you get into the game and will help your DM is if you kind of get into the practice of not just going, okay, I'm going to attack this person. That's perfectly fine. I run a ton of games like that. But if instead of going, I'm going to attack this person, you go, I stand up, I draw my short sword, and I attempt to plunge it into his stomach. Or I stand up, I roll to the side, and I try to hamstring him. Something like that can just add a little bit of flavor.
Okay, I'll do that next time.
That's perfectly fine. Like I said, I'm just trying to give you guys options, give you guys choices. You still have a movement if you would like.
Okay. I'm gonna move over so that I'm closer to the other person, or are they right next to each other?
The other person's about 5 feet away, so you can kind of shift in front.
Yeah, I'll just shift so that I'm closer to that person.
Fantastic. So that was your turn. we're going to go to Raven.
Okay. I'm going to stand up from my seat and I'm going to cast Thunderclap. So they have to make, I think everyone within 5 feet of me has to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the guy with the crossbow is not quite within 5 feet of you, but you can move.
Like that move.
Yeah, you can move to him. Now, because it's everybody within 5 feet, he's going to have to make a saving throw. So is 7. Just so
Okay.
you're aware.
Sorry, what's the saving throw?
We will get to that in just a second.
Okay.
So what I need you to do, on your character sheet, right beneath Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, this area says saving throws. One of them will say Con. I need you to roll a d20 and add whatever your con saving throw modifier is to it. This is a 7. And I will roll his, though his Constitution is kind of weak. Yeah, he doesn't.
Okay, sorry, it was a d20 and then I add the con.
The con saving throw modifier.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. 19.
19. So, Kara, the way that certain spells work is they will make a saving throw against a spell save DC, which should be on your character sheet. Do you see a thing that's okay? What's
13.
13. Okay. So, with this spell, it's a cantrip. If you make up above the spell save DC, you're basically not going to take the damage. So, 7, you are fine. However, I rolled a 5 on the d20, so I failed. Kara, go ahead and roll the damage associated with that.
I rolled a 1, but do I add my spell attack to that, or
No.
is it...
With spells, you will generally just roll what it says. So,
Okay,
to
so-
add some. Go ahead.
I'm gonna, as I cast that, I'm gonna say, everyone calm down. This was a misunderstanding. Stop.
Cool. So, to add a little flavor to that, as you get up, you kind of run over, attempting to diffuse the situation, saying, "Hey, everyone, could calm down. There's a misunderstanding." Your kind of inborn natural magic flares at that second, and instead of just saying "calm down," the magic infuses into those words, and those words have percussive force. So as you say "calm down," you go "calm down," and this wave of thunder energy, thunder damage is sonic damage, is sound damage. So as you say that, this wave of sound comes from you. 7 instantly clutches your ears to protect yourself from it. However, the guy in front of you is not quite as quick, and you watch him kind of contort his face and grab at his ears as he's hit by this wave of sound. But it seems like a minor inconvenience for him with only 1 damage. So he sits there and then just re-shoulders his crossbow. You still have some movement yet? Did you want to try and get away from him, or what do you want to do?
I'm just gonna stand there trying and be imposing.
Excellent. So, what you did there is perfect. Add more than I'm going to go attack, I'm going to cast this spell. Give your character motivation, give them a reason they're doing it, and then I will add little twists to make it fit in mechanically. Which I think is kind of cool for this kind of sage character to get up and unknowingly use the magic that they've studied for years, being a sage, but aren't quite good at the practical use of it just yet. So while you intended to just diffuse this situation, maybe use some magic to make yourself a little more intimidating, what you ended up doing is just casting a damaging spell at the same time. And I love that kind of dynamic. That being said, because I rolled really bad on an initiative, Aldon, Aldon, you're up next.
Okay. So I'm gonna get up, and I have a longbow. So can I aim my longbow at the guy that's holding the crossbow? Can I aim it at his arm? So like so if I shoot my arrow, like it hits the arm?
So, in the fifth edition, they don't really have called shots per se.
Oh.
They have abilities that certain classes get that can let you disarm someone and things like that. Because of that, I won't let you disarm him or anything like that, simply because that would be taking away an ability that someone else would have to earn. However, I like the fact that you're thinking, if you were to succeed, what would you want to happen?
I just I wouldn't want to kill him, but maybe just make him drop the crossbow.
Okay, so just prevent him from attacking.
Yeah,
in
it was either shoot him in the arm or shoot him in the leg or something like that.
Sure. Shooting a target is difficult enough to task. Shooting a very specific point on a target is much more difficult. So go ahead and make your attack roll, but I'm going to give you disadvantage on it. So roll a d20 twice. Choose the lower of the two results, because what you're trying to do is a little bit more difficult.
Okay, roll. Okay. All right, so 12.
12. 12 is...
12 plus 4, so it's 16.
Oh, even better. These guys have crap for armor class anyways. So as you sit there, you stand up very coolly, take the longbow off your back. As you bring it down into your left hand, you very slowly pull out your arrow, knock it in one fluid motion. You draw back, go a little bit, and you just let it fly. And as it goes, you're only shooting about 10 feet away, so it's a very close shot. You have no problem. It hits him right in the arm. Go ahead and roll damage for me.
Okay, let's have a look. It's 3 plus 2, that's 5.
5, okay. So as you let loose it plants in his shoulder, and it goes deep. You hear him cry out in pain. You watch as the arm that was steadying the shot kind of drops a little bit as he's struggling to hold the weight. Even a light crossbow has some weight to it. You see him kind of sitting there. As he looks around, he notices if a friend is dead, he has a hole in his shoulder now with an arrow sticking out of it. He has a woman that can just walk forward and scream at him to death. And another one that just took a short sword and plunged it into his friend. You watch him kind of look at you all. He drops the crossbow, but puts his hands up and just kind of falls back into the booth. And as he does, he kind of grips his shoulder because he's now bleeding pretty heavily. And that's where we are going to end the combat. Now, mechanics-wise, that character had 1 damage plus 5. That character had 9 hit points. They took 6 off, so he had the 3 hit points left. He could have had a turn to attack. However, because of how the situation was going, these guys were going to win, obviously. The only thing that might have happened is if I'd rolled a crit, I might have been able to knock one of them out. But because he was using a ranged weapon in melee, he would have had a disadvantage, and add all this stuff together, they're going to lose. So despite the fact that there's no mechanic that allows Ryan's character to disarm him or anything like that, he rolled a good attack. He had a good role-playing idea, and he succeeded. You want to encourage and reward players for doing more to add to this story. So, despite that there's no mechanic for this, I asked him what he wanted. He succeeded, so I'm going to give him what he wanted as much as I can. And this is a really effective way to work with your players and make yourself look like a much better DM than you actually are. Let the players tell you what the win conditions are. If they go, they're in a room and it's like, can I look around the room? Don't feel bad about going, okay, what would you want to find in here? If everything goes well, what would you want to find? Well, I would want to find a magic sword that does, 70 to 20 damage and makes me invincible. Okay, they roll high. You find a wooden sword that's covered in splinters, and you're pretty sure there's little rusted nails in it that you're relatively certain you'll get to tetanus from grabbing. Obviously, if they're trying to do something that's going to break the game, ignore it. But as long as what they're doing is going to make this story better, use the quote-unquote rule of cool. Screw the rules. It was a cool story. You like the idea of this haunted one dude just launching and laying someone out with a bow, and then just by staring him down with the bow still in his hand, this guy considers maybe it wasn't the best idea to pick a fight with these dudes. So that, for the most part, is how D&D works. There are the three pillars in D&D 5th edition. There is role-playing, which was them interacting with themselves, interacting with the crowd, interacting with the barkeep. There's combat, which is kind of self-explanatory. And then there's what's called exploration, which we're not going to get into here because we're going a little bit late, but not horribly. We're at about the 2-hour mark. But exploration is, doing things like traveling around the world, searching around for finding hidden things, things like that. So that really is how D&D works. For the most part, you make a character, which we've already seen pretty simple to do if you've got the right tools. Even if all you're using is the player's handbook, the player's handbook walks you through how to build a character. It's really simple no matter what method you're using. I just like the D&D Beyond because it helps propagate a lot of the numbers, which can confuse some people. And then it's literally just making two choices. For you guys specifically, how are you feeling about how this went? Did you enjoy yourselves? What are your thoughts? We'll start in the middle this time. We'll start with Kara.
I'm having a blast. I feel like I have a bit of an advantage over some of you maybe because I've seen a lot of D&D like online. But no, this was fun, and thank you for setting this up for us.
Casey, what are you feeling?
Yeah, it was good. I definitely am sort of the type of person who appreciates examples so that I sort of know what to do, and I didn't have that when I started, but now I do, so I feel a lot better about it. So I really appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, Ryan.
I also I've watched a lot of D&D before, so I kind of feel also I've got a bit of advantage, but I love the fact that you're explaining things and giving us hints and guides and stuff like that. That's really helpful.
Okay, and then Jackie.
I like this a lot. I definitely like the fact that the characters are detailed enough where you can fall into it, but also you can interpret it greatly, and then you as the DM can just have it go in 20 million different directions to see how things go. But my character was able to be the social awkward person, oh shit, started a fight. Oops. Sorry guys, type of thing. I'm gonna go hide. Protect my Pilsner. But no, I like this. I like this. Thanks for doing this.
So literally that's D&D. It looks intense. It looks very intimidating. Like I said, when I first described anything and just said, hey, what do you guys want to do? As a DM to new players, you are going to see the deer in the headlights often when you see that. And you guys saw that here, where they all just kind of looked and that's the most terrifying and the most difficult part of the D&D is just making your first choice. Mostly not because the choice is hard, but because everything else that we're used to as far as like games are concerned, you should have this massive list of rules, and you only have one or two things you can actually do. Whether it's a board game, a video game, whatever, you will be limited by, okay, well, I can make this choice or I can make this choice. And D&D, you make any choice you want. At the beginning of this adventure, if Ryan had wanted to stand up, flip the table, and punch Jackie's character in the face, he could have.
Ow.
Probably would not have led to a very good cohesive party. But you can make any decision you want. And just by making the decision, you're going to move this story forward. And that's the whole point of D&D. It's not to win. It's not to create, unbeatable characters or for the DM to kill off the players or anything like that. It's to tell an interesting and enjoyable story. So it doesn't matter the choices you make. It doesn't matter how many times you fail or succeed. As long as the story keeps continuing and you're enjoying the story, you're doing it right. One other thing that we didn't get into here, because it generally won't happen at level 1. There are times when the story is not going the way that you want it. You're not having fun with the story. It happens. The absolute best thing you can do in those situations, talk to the dungeon master, talk to the rest of the party. The more open and communicative you are, I don't know why I chose that word with a freaking stutter. The better you're going to do, the more fun you're going to have. I have in one of my campaigns specifically, my players will message me through Facebook individually, and we have a group message. The group message, they can interact with each other and say whatever they want and have fun. However, the individual messages, if they're having an issue with their character, like, you know what, I don't like where my character's going, I'd like something different, we can talk about that and plan a different arc for them. Or it could be, hey, I have this idea and I'd like my character to do this. Can you give me a situation where I can do that? And the same can be true if you want to have a relationship with another character, whether romantic, platonic, whatever. You can just talk to the player and go, hey, I think my character would have this kind of relationship with your character. I think because we're both sages, I think we'll kind of have this kind of camaraderie and we'll fit together really well. What do you think? And you can plan ways that your characters might interact. As much as people will accuse Critical Role of being scripted and all that, which it isn't. Planning and the things like that is not just scripting as much as it is writing the story and ensuring the story goes in the way that you want. Now, just because you have plans doesn't mean that's how the story is going to go. That's why we add dice rolls. That's why we have things that happen that you weren't expecting, like trying to scoot your chair out and starting to tavern brawl that ended up with one person dead and one person with a hole in their shoulder. There's no way.
Saved my dulcimer.
Yeah, but the dulcimer's fine. Which would have been really fun is, and this is something that's really fun about continuing campaign, is we've established, because I am a classically trained musician, I've never played the dulcimer, but I have a lot of friends with stringed instruments. They're ungodly expensive. Woodwinds is as well. I have a saxophone right over there. I have two of them, actually. My tenor sax cost us, I think, $2,500. And that's a cheap tenor. Like, mine was an intermediate thing. Bassoons can go anywhere between $50,000 to $75,000 for a single instrument. These are precious things, and we've now established that her character is very fond of her dulcimer, because a dulcimer is a very expensive instrument. Going forward in the campaign, if I want to add some danger to it, I can threaten her dulcimer.
And I can bring out my bagpipes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. A lot of DMs consider the only lose condition in D&D is if your character dies. That's not true. Just this initial encounter has given me another lose condition that I can use to motivate Eris as a player. If there's a situation where her dulcimer might get damaged, that will give her motivation to do something different. If her dulcimer does get damaged, she might she might have an entire little quest line to get it fixed. Or maybe they're hard up for money, and she might pawn it, and then getting it back becomes a quest line. Just because it's just an item that she can use as a spellcasting focus does not mean it can't be important to the character and be part of their character arc. And all of these different things that we could have that could create really compelling and interesting stories comes from a really quick line of dialogue where I just said, oh, you fell, and because you're a musician, you cradled your dulcimer. It created a connection with this item that will define her character. Lean into that stuff. Let, anything that seems weird, like a chair in the middle of the room, that the characters keep investigating for some sort of trap. All that stuff can turn into really interesting plot points, and will make you as a DM look like a genius. When in all actuality, I'm just reacting to what the players did. So, for final thoughts, do you guys have any questions for me? If there are anyone else that is still in chat, do you have good questions for me?
I can't think of any right now.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much, though, and thanks for your patience.
Yeah, definitely. This is what I used to do.
This is fun. Even though you threatened my dulcimer.
Yeah.
I'm watching you.
So, this has been just a little taste of what it's like to have your first game of D&D, to run your first game of D&D. With the current situation we are currently in, that I'm not allowed to mention on YouTube and to Twitch and all those other things, but staying away from people is hard. I have a panic disorder with agoraphobia. I can't leave my room without a panic attack. I still crave human contact. Despite the fact that I can't physically interact with people, I still need to. And so online, this is a great way to interact with people, to connect with people. And hopefully through this, I've given you enough that you can start your own adventures. If it's your first time DMing, plan to screw up. If it's your first time playing, plan to screw up. If it's your millionth time playing or DMing, plan to screw up. You're going to make mistakes, and mistakes can be derailing, or you can use them to continue this as a story. It's all up to how you deal with the situations that you're put in, not so much the outcome of the situations. All right, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys in the next time. All right?
All right.
Bye.